I need to feel young again, my wife said before ending our 20-year marriage for a 22-year-old. Nearly 2 years later, she regrets everything, but I've moved on with a real woman who values me. Hey, viewers! Before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I never thought I'd be writing this, but here we are. After 20 years of marriage, I'm divorced, and the reason still makes me shake my head. My ex-wife Lisa decided at 45 that she needed to feel young again. Nearly 2 years later, I'm the one who's actually living, while she's desperately chasing validation from men young enough to be our son. Let me start at the beginning. Lisa and I met in college when we were both 22. We married at 25, had our daughter Emma at 27, and our son Tom at 29. For 20 years, I thought we had something solid. I worked in insurance, steady, reliable work that paid well. Lisa stayed home with the kids until they reached high school, then took a part-time job at a trendy boutique once they left for college. The changes started small. Lisa began obsessing over her appearance, spending hours getting ready each morning. She'd come home from the boutique with clothes that seemed designed for someone half her age, talking constantly about her young coworkers who treated her like their cool older sister. I thought it was harmless. Then came the social media obsession. Lisa had barely touched Facebook before, but suddenly she was posting multiple times daily, filtered selfies, workout videos, pictures of her meals. She'd spend entire evenings scrolling through influencer accounts, showing me images of 20-something women living what she called their best life. Look at her, she'd say, holding up her phone. She's living her best life. When did we stop doing that? I'd look at the screen, some 25-year-old posing in a bikini in Bali, and honestly, I didn't know what to say. We had a nice house, good kids, solid marriage. What more did we need? Our 20th anniversary should have been special. I booked us a table at the restaurant where we had our first date, spent weeks putting together a photo album of our life together. Every major moment was there: our wedding, the kids' births, family vacations, quiet Sunday mornings. I thought she'd love it. She barely glanced at it. "This is nice," she said, but her eyes were on her phone. She was checking Instagram stories, double-tapping pictures of people we'd never met living lives we'd never live. "Lisa," I said, "put the phone down. It's our anniversary." She looked up, and for a moment, I saw something in her eyes that made my stomach drop. It wasn't love or happiness or even contentment. It was resentment. "Right," she said, slipping the phone into her purse. Our anniversary. 20 years. The way she said it made 20 years sound like a prison sentence. That night, I lay awake thinking about that look. Over the following weeks, I started paying closer attention. Lisa was working later at the boutique, going to team-building events that seemed to happen every other night. She'd come home smelling like expensive perfume and cheap wine, talking about how young and fun her coworkers were. "Sarah's only 24 and she's already traveled to 15 countries, she'd say. "When I was 24, I was changing diapers." "You chose to have kids," I'd remind her gently. "We both did." "I know," she'd say, but her tone suggested she was starting to regret that choice. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night in March. Lisa came home at nearly midnight, claiming she'd been at a work event. I was waiting up, worried sick. "Mark, we need to talk," she said, dropping her purse by the door. I felt my chest tighten. "About what? Is everything okay?" She sat across from me at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd helped our kids with homework, where we'd planned family vacations, where we'd shared 20 years of meals and conversations. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said. "I feel like I'm wasting my life. I got married so young, had kids right away. I never got to really live. We built a good life together," I said. "The kids are doing well. We're financially stable. That's just it," she interrupted. "Stable. Predictable. Boring. I look at myself in the mirror and I see an old woman. I need someone who makes me feel young again, alive again." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "Lisa, what are you saying?" "I want a divorce," she said, the words hitting me like a physical blow. "I need to find out who I really am before it's too late." The silence stretched between us. 20 years of marriage, and it came down to this. She needed to feel young again. "Is there someone else?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. She looked away. "That's not what this is about. But there is someone. Mark, please. This is hard enough." I sat there for a long moment, looking at this woman I'd loved for half my life. She was 45 years old, beautiful in the way that middle-aged women can be when they take care of themselves. But she was looking at me like I was the reason she felt old. "If that's what you need to be happy," I said finally, "I won't stand in your way." She looked surprised. "Really? You're not going to fight for us?" "I can't fight for someone who doesn't want to be here." And that was it. The marriage was over. I handled the divorce proceedings with the same methodical approach I used for everything else. We split assets 50-50, worked out custody arrangements for when the kids visited from college. Lisa took her half of our retirement savings and moved to a trendy downtown apartment. I moved to a smaller place closer to my office. The first few months were hell, if I'm being honest. I'd wake up reaching for someone who wasn't there, make too much coffee out of habit, find myself setting 2 plates at dinner. Some nights I'd sit in my empty house and wonder if I'd been too quick to let her go, if I should have fought harder. But then I'd remember that look in her eyes, the resentment, the way she'd made our 20 years together sound like a mistake, and I'd know I'd done the right thing. The kids were devastated, but not surprised. Emma, our 19-year-old, was particularly harsh when she came home for spring break. "Mom's having a midlife crisis," she told me over lunch. "It's embarrassing, Dad. Don't talk about your mother that way," I said, though privately I agreed. "She's dating a guy who's younger than me. It's gross." That's how I found out about Jake. 22 years old, worked as a server at an upscale restaurant, had aspirations of being a model. Lisa had met him at the boutique. He'd come in looking for clothes for a photo shoot. I saw them together once, by accident. I was picking up dry cleaning when they walked past the window. She was dressed like she was 25, tight jeans, crop top, too much makeup. He was tall, conventionally handsome in that generic way that young men often are. She was laughing at something he said, hanging on his arm like a teenager. She looked ridiculous, but I didn't say anything. I focused on my own life. I started working out, not to win her back, but because I realized I'd let myself go. I bought better clothes, updated my haircut. I threw myself into work and finally got the promotion I'd been overlooked for 3 times. Meanwhile, Lisa's new life was apparently expensive. According to Emma, who reluctantly visited her mother's apartment, Jake didn't seem to have much money. Lisa was paying for their dinners, their drinks, his modeling portfolio. She bought him a new wardrobe and was helping with his rent. "She's a sugar mama," Emma told me, disgusted. "It's so obvious, but she can't see it." The kids started spending more time with me. Tom, our 21-year-old, was particularly uncomfortable with his mother's new lifestyle. "She keeps asking me about my friends," he told me during a visit. "Like she wants to hang out with them." "It's weird, Dad. Your mother is going through something," I said. "Give her time." But privately, I was starting to wonder if this was who Lisa really was, someone who would abandon her family for the attention of younger men. The first crack in Lisa's fantasy appeared about 8 months after the divorce. Emma called me, crying. "Mom's been posting about Jake on social media," she said. "But he's been posting about her too. He's calling her his sugar mama and laughing about how she pays for everything." I felt a mix of anger and pity. "What did you do?" I showed her the posts. She confronted him. Apparently, the confrontation didn't go well. According to Emma, who witnessed the whole thing, Jake was brutally honest about their relationship. "Come on, Lisa," he'd said when she confronted him. "We both know what this is. You pay. I make you feel young. It's a fair trade." "I thought we had something real," Lisa had replied. "Real? You're 45. I'm 22. Get realistic." Jake left that night, taking several expensive gifts Lisa had bought him. She was devastated, but within 6 weeks, she was dating again, this time a 26-year-old personal trainer named Brad whom she'd met at the gym. He seemed more mature than Jake, more sophisticated. He had his own apartment, his own car, seemed genuinely interested in Lisa as a person. Too bad he was a con artist. Brad was smoother, more manipulative. Over the course of nearly a year, he convinced Lisa to invest in his business ventures, a supplement company that existed only on paper, a fitness app that was never developed. By the time she realized what was happening, he'd taken her for nearly $50,000 and disappeared. That's when the desperate calls started. "Mark," Lisa said when I answered the phone. Her voice was shaky, desperate. "I made a mistake. I want to come home." I was in my kitchen, making dinner for one. It was a Tuesday night, almost 18 months after she'd asked for the divorce. "Lisa, you made your choice. I respected it then, and I respect it now. But I'm broke. I have nowhere to go." "I'm sorry to hear that, but that's not my problem anymore." There was a long pause. How can you be so cold? We were married for 20 years. Yes, we were. And you threw it away because you needed to feel young again. How's that working out for you? She started crying. I know I hurt you. I know I made mistakes. But we can work through this. No, we can't. You wanted a different life. You got it. I hung up. She called back 6 times. I didn't answer. The next week, she showed up at my house. I'd been renovating since the divorce, new paint, new furniture, new everything. It looked like a different place. You changed everything, she said when I answered the door. I changed what I could, I replied. She looked terrible. Her hair was overprocessed. Her skin looked stretched from too many cosmetic procedures. She was wearing clothes meant for someone half her age, and they made her look desperate rather than youthful. But what struck me most was her eyes. They were hollow, panicked. Can I come in? Please, Mark. I'm begging you. No. I lost everything, she said, her voice cracking. My apartment, my savings, my dignity. I sleep on my coworker's couch. I can't even afford to get my hair done anymore. Then call your young boyfriends. You know that's over. They never loved me. They saw an easy target. She started crying harder. I threw away the only man who ever really loved me for what? For lies and flattery from boys who saw me as a joke. I felt a pang of something, not quite sympathy, but recognition of genuine pain. I'm sorry someone took advantage of you. She looked hopeful. So you do care. I care that you're the mother of my children. That's where it ends. I closed the door. But Lisa wasn't giving up. She started calling Emma and Tom, trying to get them to convince me to take her back. She told them she'd learned her lesson, that she realized what she'd lost, that she just wanted her family back. The kids weren't buying it, and over time, I watched them lose what little respect they had left for their mother. Dad, Tom said when he called to warn me, Mom's trying to get us to guilt you into taking her back. She's saying you're being cruel and unforgiving. What did you tell her? That you're the only one who acted like an adult through this whole thing. That she made her choice, and now she has to live with it. Emma was even more direct. I told her she's embarrassing herself and us. That she needs to grow up and stop trying to be 25. The final confrontation came at our mutual friend Karen's 50th birthday party. I almost didn't go, but Karen had been a good friend to both Lisa and me, and I didn't want to make her choose sides. I brought Sarah. I'd met Sarah 6 months earlier through work. She was 48, divorced, elegant in the way that comes from being comfortable with who you are. She was age-appropriate, successful, and had no interest in pretending to be younger than she was. We'd been taking things slow, but I was happier than I'd been in years. Lisa was at the party, of course. She looked even worse than when she'd shown up at my house, thinner, more desperate, trying too hard to fit in with people who clearly felt awkward around her. When she saw me with Sarah, her face went white. Mark, she said, approaching us. We need to talk. Privately. There's nothing to discuss, Lisa. I see you've replaced me with someone. Suitable. Sarah squeezed my hand. I'll give you 2 a moment, she said graciously, walking away. Lisa watched her go. She's not exactly a spring chicken, is she? She's exactly what I want, I said. Come on, Mark. 20 years has to mean something. It did mean something. Past tense. You wanted to feel young again. I wanted to feel respected. We both got what we needed. You're really going to throw away everything we had? You already did that. I'm just not cleaning up the mess anymore. She stood there for a moment, looking lost. I don't know what to do. That's not my problem to solve. I walked away, found Sarah, and we left the party together. That was 8 months ago. According to Emma, Lisa is still chasing younger men. She's working 2 jobs now to pay her bills, living in a studio apartment, spending what little money she has on procedures to make herself look younger. She's on every dating app, her age listed as 38, her photos filtered beyond recognition. Last week, Emma told me Lisa had been messaging her about some new guy, a 24-year-old she'd met at a coffee shop. She keeps asking me if I think he really likes her, Emma said. It's pathetic, Dad. She's almost 50, and she's asking me to analyze text messages like we're in high school. And it is pathetic. But it's also not my problem. I'm 49 now, and I've never been happier. Sarah and I moved in together last month. I got another promotion at work. I'm in the best shape of my life. I look in the mirror and I see a man who's aging gracefully, who's found peace with who he is. Lisa looks in the mirror and sees someone who's running out of time. The difference is that I'm not chasing my youth. I'm building my future. Sarah and I talk about traveling together, about the life we want to build. It's not the life of a 25-year-old, but it's a good life. A real life. Lisa is still chasing something that doesn't exist, a fountain of youth that flows through the validation of men young enough to be her children. She's 47 now, but she's still telling people she's 38, still dressing like she's 25, still hoping the next young man will make her feel like she's 20 again. I hope she finds what she's looking for. I really do. But I'm not waiting around to find out. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.